Orange and Blue today. We are live in Indianapolis at the Scouting Combine. Huge day, Mace, and a huge day for Drake Maye.
Among others.
Yes.
Huge times here for these quarterbacks. It's the biggest job interview they're going to have,
Right.
basically. But we know the Broncos are talking to plenty of quarterbacks, including Drake Maye, including Caleb Williams, including Jayden Daniels. We'll get to all of them. Unfortunately, didn't have a chance to ask Caleb Williams about the Broncos interview specifically. He got to a point where it's like he's sick of answering the question about the interview.
Did you talk to the Bears? Did you talk to the Bravo?
Yeah,
Yes.
and what was it like, right? But Drake Maye was interested in talking about his interview with the Broncos. What do you say we get right to that?
And a very specific word used about Shawn Payton. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, it was awesome meeting with Coach Payton. I think anytime you got one of the great offensive minds in there, meeting with him was pretty cool. And Davis Webb, he seemed right off the bat, seemed like he kind of one of the great quarterback coaches you could play for, and just fun being there with those guys, and got a great experience, and got Javonte Williams is a Carolina guy out there in Denver. So
awesome. Not just Shawn Payton is awesome, but Davis Webb.
Yes.
Gushing about Davis Webb.
I love that.
Yeah, well, a lot of his work is going to be with Davis Webb if he's a Denver Bronco. And while Shawn Payton's opinion is ultimately the one that matters most, you do want a good working relationship between the quarterback and the quarterback coach. And so that's what you got from that. Now, Drake Maye is a pretty positive person regardless, but you got a genuine sense of respect and admiration for the young quarterback coach on the staff.
Yes, and we've got more coming today, and then OBT2 even more after that. But Mace, this Shawn Payton thing, the quarterbacks love this guy.
That's actually the common thread between the quarterbacks today talking about the Broncos and Shawn Payton. You got the distinct sense across the board that interviewing with Shawn Payton and the Broncos wasn't just another interview. Like you do so many of these, right?
Right.
I mean, some guys have 25 teams on their dance card here.
Right.
At the NFL Combine. It's easy for them to blend together. It's 10 minutes with each team, and you move on to the next step, to the next item on your agenda, basically. But talking with Shawn Payton and talking ball with Shawn Payton and his staff appeared to come across as different to these guys.
Yes, means something, and that's really cool to hear from these young men who have such respect for Shawn Payton, which leads us into Jayden Daniels, Mace.
Now, we've talked a little bit about the connections that Jayden Daniels has to the Broncos staff. Of course, the coach that recruited him to both ASU, Jamar Cain, who just got moved to defensive line coach this week, a promotion for him. Jamar Cain's on the Broncos staff, knows Jayden Daniels going back to helping recruit him for Arizona State. And, of course, he transferred to LSU in the last couple of years. So there's that connection. There are some deep connections between Shawn Payton and his staff and the LSU staff. And believe me, listening to Jayden Daniels talk about Shawn Payton, those are pretty deep. Like the way that Shawn Payton is thought of around the LSU program is in very high esteem.
Yes.
Now, part of it, you've got a lot of cross-pollination between Payton's staff back with the Saints and LSU. But this also means if you're the Broncos, you've probably got a better set of intel on Jayden Daniels than any other team.
Yeah, you're going to know everything about this guy, and that's why Jayden Daniels, well, he loves Shawn Payton too.
Yeah, I mean, Shawn Payton, obviously what he did in New Orleans, I was down the road, so a lot of people still talk about those days, but be able to see the offensive mind that he is, the guru, and just be able, like I said, just sitting there, just talk football with everybody.
Wow, Jayden Daniels, man. I love him. My favorite quarterback.
He's your QB1?
Yes.
Not Caleb Williams?
No.
Okay, there you go.
And Dane Brugler's QB1 as well.
Okay. I like him a lot, but I like Drake Maye too.
Okay.
Like I'm probably higher on Drake Maye than a lot of people. I'm not buying the slide. He's not sliding on my board.
Well, the slide is overrated, I think.
Well-
He's sliding to 5.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's not a slide to me.
It's a slide that means you might be able to trade up and get him without sacrificing as much draft capital as you might have feared you had to get in the top 3.
Yes.
It wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing in the world, is what I'm saying.
And you and I were looking at draft value trade charts. It's not impossible to move up as high as you need to for Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, yes, even Caleb Williams.
With whom the Broncos spoke. I mean, they're doing their homework on all these guys.
Due diligence.
Well, they're doing due diligence, but also you're making a decision here that is going to be profound, not only for the Broncos, it's profound for Shawn Payton's legacy here, right? For Shawn Payton to be a Hall of Famer, which is something he wants that gold jacket. Mm-hmm. If he gets this quarterback thing right and the Broncos become a contender and push to get to a Super Bowl at some point with Shawn Payton as the head coach, I mean, he's getting fitted for a gold jacket.
And he's getting there faster if this decision on QB is right.
This is more consequential than anything in this past season for the Broncos and Shawn Payton.
Very
I'd
much
say,
so.
going forward. Now, obviously, the way things went with Russell Wilson and Shawn Payton ends up being consequential because it brings you here. But now, how do you get this right?
Right.
That's where the decision comes in. Of course, there is the possibility the Broncos do not get a quarterback in round 1, whether they stand pat or even choose to trade down. And that's where other interviews come into play.
Yes.
Because it wasn't just about talking with the top guys. It's talking to someone who appears to be, I'd say, pretty firmly in day 2 now. That's Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina.
Very experienced, as we know, knows a lot. Was impressed with my film, and we had great talks, and it went well.
There's Spencer Rattler, who may be an option for the Broncos in the 3rd round, Mace. There is an interesting comparison, though, from Spencer Rattler talking about, we get the pro comparison questions.
Yeah.
Rattler's got an interesting answer.
Yeah, I would say Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, watch Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, guys like that coming up. Try to take little parts of their game and implement it in mind within training.
Okay, you're not surprised to hear any of those names, but hey, the name Russell Wilson was in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I know that the feelings regarding Russell Wilson of many of you out there watching this show, yeah, Cecil is making the thumb gesture,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But as you and I have talked about, I've mentioned on social media as well, I mean, you know, like someone was saying this week or a few days ago, Russell Wilson doesn't have a legacy, which is bullplop.
That's
Grade
bunk.
A bullplop.
Yes.
I mean, there's 10 years of legacy in Seattle, and yes, were there things in the locker room? You know, did he not get along as well with some teammates like Richard Sherman as you'd hope? Or, was there a disconnect? Yeah, but there was a heck of a lot of success there. Perennial playoff team, even after the Legion of Boom faded. That's the other thing. It's not like Seattle suddenly became a lousy team when the Legion of Boom went away. They were still consistently going to the playoffs. So, to say that he doesn't have a legacy based on what he did in Seattle is crap.
Yeah, it's inaccurate.
Yeah, it's simply not true. And so, yeah, for someone like Spencer Rattler, there is something in mind. Now, I will say this. What aspect, he didn't specify, but what aspect, if you're a quarterback, do you think of Russell Wilson, you'd say, I want that in my game? Because to me, it's obvious. It's the beyond structure ability that when things break down, you can bring a play back to life. That's what Russell Wilson does well, and I think every quarterback to some degree needs to have that.
I say improv.
Yep.
So if it's not Spencer Rattler, maybe it's Michael Pratt, who the Broncos had a couple of meetings with already, and then an informal meeting here at the Combine.
Yes, I have met with the Broncos a couple times. Yeah, it'd be awesome. Just seeing, how he is as a coach when he was with the Saints. I loved watching the Saints growing up. Drew Brees was one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. So, to fit into that offense and, know some people over there, so it'd be really cool.
Now, what's interesting about Michael Pratt is, of course, another situation where you've got connections between the Broncos and Shawn Payton's staff and that program. Of course, Tulane's offensive line coach worked for nearly a decade under Shawn Payton on the New Orleans Saints coaching staff.
Right.
And as we learned down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, told a lot of Shawn Payton stories. So Michael Pratt comes in very familiar with Shawn Payton and the Broncos, and the Broncos come in very familiar with Michael Pratt. Now, so the question, why was the interview here informal rather than formal? Does that reveal the Broncos aren't interested? I don't think that's the case.
I think it's actually quite the opposite.
I actually think they did have a couple of conversations with him down at the Senior Bowl in the interview setup they have down there. Of course, Shawn Payton wasn't on hand, but you had other Broncos personnel people who were down there, and the fact that you've got so much intel and background on and the connection with the Tulane program for the Broncos, I don't think they looked at this and said, okay, we've got a lot of info. We don't necessarily need to sit down with Michael Pratt right now, and we only have the 45 interviews. 7 quarterback interviews is still a lot.
Yes.
Relative to all the work you're doing here. And I think that led to the decision to just have it be informal with Michael Pratt rather than formal, as was the case with Nix, Penix, McCarthy, Maye, Williams, Daniels, and Rattler. I rattled them off.
You got them all. I was right. I was counting.
Total dad
Yes,
joke.
yeah,
I ended with Rattler and I rattled him off. Ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, that may be a bad joke because there's a thin line between dad joke and bad joke. That may be a bad joke, bad pun. Whatever.
That also may be a bit dad joke.
Oh my God, dude.
Well, we've got so much for you.
Yeah, we got workouts tomorrow.
Yeah,
We have
workouts.
more today. We have OBT too.
Yes, OBT2 coming up. Special interviews over the weekend on both Saturday and Sunday. Those are YouTube exclusives. And then we were planning on doing some pre-workout from the stadium if we can. Wi-Fi
Connection
situation, right?
permitting.
Yes. So we will do a live pre-workout combine quarterbacks. That's coming up on Saturday. Mace, we are far from done and so much to say on OBT2. Again, YouTube exclusive. I can't wait.
Oh yeah. Well, you can find it from Twitter as well. I guess I have to remember to tweet it out.
Yeah.
But yes, you should be on YouTube. YouTube is actually the best way to watch our programming.
Yes.
Which is why every day we tell you to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss a vid. We weren't. Oh, we'll try to get it right on OBT later on today.
Yeah,
I
a
think
little more
so.
laid back on OBT.
And also some more talk, I think, about kind of the personality aspects of these quarterbers.
God, we have a ton to say about that.
There are some interesting thoughts I
Some
had
ticks.
listening in a good way. I think these are all positive thoughts that I had from listening to and observing these quarterbacks up there today. And we've got more because we're going to hear from J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix Jr. tonight on Orange and Blue Today 2. So join us then.
He's Mace. I'm Cecil. OBT is a BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty.